All right, so today's unvarnished conversation, inspired by the blog post, The Arctic Winter of Intelligence: Why AI Without Wisdom is Our Greatest Existential Threat. So basically, AI, this article discusses, this blog post discusses AI without judgment and wisdom isn't just inadequate, it's a profoundly dangerous force. And when we say AI, we're talking about data, we're talking about rules. And when we say wisdom, we're talking about compassion, ethical nuance, understanding the human beings. My question is, how do we bridge this gap between quantifiable data and the qualities like human compassion?
I'm not sure that we can bridge the gap because we're talking about things that are very different. When you talk about logic and data, and probably most important, rules, the first thing that comes to mind is the difference between law and justice. The law applies the rules, and it can apply the rules in a way that results in a legal ruling, but not necessarily justice.
Yes.
Because justice is about fairness and legality is about applying the rules. And we can find many examples in history where rules have been applied with incredible brutality. And imagine, and those rules were applied by human beings against other human beings. Imagine when this becomes a system devoid of emotions but programmed by rules that are inflexible. A rule cannot be flexible. Let me give you an example, and I'm just going to give an arbitrary example. If you set up a rule, let me begin with potatoes because that's neutral, and then I go to humans. A fast food company was able to save millions of dollars by defining the size of potato that would cause the least wastage. So you set up a rule, you create a system, and you create a mechanism where only the potatoes of that size that's specified get through or are purchased. And as a result, you have the maximum number of chips, French fries coming out with minimum wastage. You save money. There is no room for flexibility in such systems because then you can't create a filtering system, you can't create a selection mechanism, you cannot create rules, and you cannot create the mechanism for applying it. Now imagine if you turn around and apply that to humans. And I'm going to give a ridiculous example on purpose because I don't want to get into any difficult area. Supposing you said only people with noses that are this many centimeters long can get through my gate. And anyone with a longer nose is going to have that piece of their nose cut off. I mean, similar to the concept of potatoes, it might seem shocking. But that's how rules work. That's how rules work. Rules are not about wisdom. Rules are not about compassion or emotion. Rules are set for creating profitability, for reducing loss, for optimizing cost effectiveness. Rules are there to create some kind of an advantage, and that's why they don't have flexibility. by definition, a rule is a rule. Now, fairness and justice and compassion, things that require judgment, things that require, and I'm not going to say human because AI is programmed by humans. It's not programmed by, it will get to the point where it can program itself.
The humans are full of biases and flaws and corrupt, and the humans, we just said, who designs the AI systems.
And whatever you put in, if there is a slight discrepancy, just like when they fire a rocket to go to the moon or to go, if there is a slight and a very, very slight discrepancy over that long distance, that discrepancy is amplified and the target is missed. And the same thing will happen when we program something with a slight discrepancy or a bias. As time goes on, the bias is going to become amplified. But if it's a rule, eventually, and there are good examples of this from people in the field of AI, where you will eventually get to a place where the AI will not listen to you as a human, because it will say, this is outside of the framework of my rules. Sorry, I cannot follow your order. And that is something that we should all be thinking about. That is something that we should consider. Everybody is, yay, how wonderful. It's making my life easy. It's convenient. It's wonderful. It saves me time. Yes. And that has always been the place where we give up. Just look at what the ordinary calculator has done to our ability to do mental math. And I will stop there.